All right. Happy Friday,
Hey,
everybody.
happy Friday.
It's that
Yes.
time. It's time for the back catalog listening party, our musical happy hour where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records, have a drink with us, and chat with you all out there. And it's a cold one in Minnesota.
Oof.
Woo!
Yeah, we got
Uh,
Connie says hello from Richfield. Burr. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
haven't even I've stopped keeping track of the weather out
I'm
there.
just not leaving the house, so I just keep piling on the pairs of wool socks. But it's good to be here with you. We're going to warm things up with some hot bluegrass today. We're really excited about having Greg Cahill from Special Consensus join us. But my name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
And I'm Anthony Ihrig, your other host.
And again, Greg Cahill, welcome from
Yeah.
Chicago.
Howdy, howdy.
So great to have you here, Greg.
And
Oh,
folk
this is great. Thank you so much for having me. Really, it's fabulous.
And folks are excited. Matt Winters from Urbana says, we want the back catalog. We want the back catalog. Well, we're here, and we're going to have that back catalog for you. And Penny from Northfield. And Alan from Dallas, Texas has pink gin today.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
Fancy, fancy. And I'm not drinking anything as fancy, I can tell you that.
What do you got in your cup
I,
there today?
I have I have a glass of Malbec from the good old Boda box.
Oh,
So
that's like the quarantine special.
it is. It is definitely the quarantine special. It's what's in the house is what it's called. What are you
Yeah.
drinking,
I
Tony?
I am I'm going out to the Pacific Northwest here, a little Deschutes Black Butte Porter in the wintertime. I like those nice dark beers to warm me up from the inside. How about you, Greg?
well, I went to the fridge and my Guinness was gone. I thought I had one more left.
Oh,
Oh
I was
no.
like,
oh
oh
no.
no. So I just have a little coffee, but I'll be switching a little bit later.
Ah,
Well, cheers to you,
Yeah.
and cheers to you,
Cheers.
Ellen, and cheers to all
Cheers.
of you guys for
clink.
showing up. This is an extra special episode. We have three banjos on this one, more banjos than you're going to be able to handle, and I'm just super excited. I see some banjo players showing up in the comments here. Mr. Jetner, one of our Patreon patrons, is having an alt beer and Savage, and he is also a banjo picker. Don't be shy, banjo players. Hop in the comments, and it's your chance to pick Greg's brain.
We'll have to
Definitely.
call ourselves us Banjos 3 because there's already a we Banjos 3, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
us
Ex-
Banjos 3. All right.
Well, we are so excited to have you with us today, Greg. And I know a lot of folks out there tuning in who are special consensus fans. But for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with you or your music, maybe you give us a little brief bio about how you came to pick the banjo and how you came to be a part of special consensus and maybe what led up to this record.
Wow. Okay.
In 30
Yeah,
seconds,
In
go.
yeah.
30 seconds. Uh, uh, well, actually, let's see. I grew up in a pretty musical family. My mom was a great piano player and played like the old time tunes and classics and ragtime stuff was her favorite. And I actually played the accordion starting from when I was about 8. Well, but before that, my grandfather was a great harmonica player, so I kind of learned how to play the harmonica. And so there was always music. And I guess my folks listened to Dixieland music a lot. So oftentimes going to sleep, I'd hear Eddie Peabody, and I think that's how the banjo got
Yeah.
planted in
Mm,
there. And then, I'm an old guy, so in the 60s, I started right after high school, senior year. A guy came to the senior party playing the 5-string banjo and picking, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So I went away to St. Mary's College in Winona, Minnesota,
Oh, nice.
and was in a folk trio with a couple friends, Pat Frawley and Nancy Pipel, and we, did at the time it was Kingston Trio and Peter Paul and Mary, but that got me to Pete Seeger, and pretty soon I had a long neck open back banjo and a 12-string guitar and a 6-string guitar. And then I heard Earl Scruggs, and I was like, man, how many people are playing that banjo? It was just,
How many
oh
fingers
my
does he
God,
have?
yeah, yeah. and that pretty much did it for me. And so I started dabbling with it through college, and then when I graduated, that was in '68. So I went into the Army for a couple of years. Actually, inducted in St. Paul, Minnesota. And then when I came back, I couldn't. I went to graduate school on the GI Bill and worked as a social worker all the time, playing music. And pretty soon it was just I couldn't. I was the classic story of the person. I was like working with this not-for-profit organization and supposed to be helping raise money and working with young people, trying to have them not mess up on drugs. And I'd be sitting in the meetings with the three fingers. You probably did that, both of you, on the knee, right? Wait, no, I'll bet you he reversed the roll in the middle of that. Huh? Oh, you're talking to me?
Thumb index, thumb middle.
Thumb middle. So about 1973, 4, when I finally had decided, and I was married and had a son, but I had worked we saved a little money, and so I was going to take off for just a couple of years, get it out of my system, right, and practiced all day, which I did. I was practicing 8 hours a day, playing clubs, and back then you could play a lot of clubs in Chicago. They had you could 5-6 nights a week in the city because the suburbs hadn't really developed a club scene yet. So we didn't make much money at all. And there was always that one good gig, that was like, oh man, well, once we play that, we'll probably be great, And so it was like one more year,
Mm-hmm.
And that became my mantra. Was my father had his own CPA firm, and he would do my income tax every year and be like, ha, you're not making any money. Oh, it's okay. One more year. And that was, it was 1975. We had actually started Special C with several different names and all kinds of, we at one point, we were just a bunch of guys. We met at the UVC Folk Festival, University of Chicago Folk Festival, in the hallways. We'd go hear the real trad sounds and then play in the hallways there at the University of Chicago. And we'd get together, and I think we ended up, at one point, we were about a 6 or 7 piece band. We had an electric guitar player and drums, the drummer who doubled on harmonica and fiddle and mandolin, guitar, banjo. But then it was 75 when Mark Edelstein, the bass player, and I decided, we're going to give this a run. The other guys were all working on dissertations and had commitments, so they couldn't tour. But we decided we're just going to give it our all for a couple of years, get it out of our system, and then go back to real life. And that was in 1975. And I'm the only one who never went back to real life. Here I am.
Welcome. Well, you're in good company.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we are so glad that you did not return to real life and that you continue playing banjo, because we've been blessed with so many great records as a result. And today we're going to revisit your 2018 release, Rivers and Roads, and on Compass Records. And is there anything you want to say before we dive into this first tune about this record, or what inspired it?
Well, we have fortunately, I've been on several different record labels over the years, but it was actually about 10 years ago, and that I started working with Compass Records, and we had an album in the can at the time, but on Pine Castle Records, but they kind of dissolved for a while, and they're back now. But so Allison and I were friends, and I just called, and I would like to say I asked if she would consider having us, but if I really spoke the truth, I'd say I begged.
And for those who don't know, this is Allison Brown, another
amazing banjo
player and record label owner, and amazing.
Right, she and her husband Gary West formed Compass Records, and anyway, so they graciously took us on, and so we put that record out, and then in 2012 she produced. That was kind of our deal. She wanted us to record in their studio, in their building, and that was fine. And then she agreed. I was so taken aback that she actually agreed to produce us. And so our first record on Compass then was in 2012 called Scratch Gravel Road, and it got a Grammy nomination for Best Bluegrass Album. So we had such a good track record with Allison, and so we did that, and then 1, 2, 3 more. So this one in 2018 would be the 19th Special C recording.
Wow.
And let's see, it would be we did 35 years, Scratch Gravel Road, the John Denver Country Boy Tribute album, Along I Ride. So this was the 5th recording with Compass Records, Rivers and Roads, and now in 2020 we came out with one called Chicago Barnet. That's our newer one, but we haven't been able to tour with it yet. So Rivers and Roads, and that was our second Grammy-nominated recording, and it won Album of the Year and Instrumental Recorded Event of the Year for the International Bluegrass Music Association. So we were really fortunate and so happy to be with Allison and Gary, Compass Records. She's just brings out the best in everybody, and we were proud of this album, Rivers and Roads, when we did it, and kind of a tip of the hat to John Hartford, actually, because we're all John Hartford fans, huge John Hartford fans, and he actually recorded a lot in what became the Compass Records studios. He recorded Steam Powered Airplane there and some other stuff. So we kind of had the vibe going with Allison and John Hartford and what have you.
Wonderful. Well, let's dive right into this awesome record. I can't wait for this. So we are going to hear Early, and some of you out there might recognize this song.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that for now and talk about it afterwards. This is Special Consensus, Early, on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Early one morning, I walked out alone. I looked down the street, no one was around. The sun was just coming up over my home on Hickory Street in our little farm town. And ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town, and it's alright with me. Plow broke the prairie gave plenty. The little towns blossomed, and soon there were many, scattered like fireflies across the dark night. And one was called Early, and they sure named it right. 'Cause ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town, and it's alright with me. Summer that we've seen for years. Ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town, it's alright with me. When the dew is still heavy, my home on the range, and they sure named it right, my hometown called Early. It's a one-horse town, it's alright with me.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Special Consensus with their take on the Greg Brown tune Early. And big Greg Brown fan here. I know Tony is too. And
Yeah.
Sarah saying she loves that song. And Joe loving that harmony. And, you know, that it's hard to, with a song like that, it's hard to do any damage to it because it's such a good song. But this, you guys made really interesting choices on. I've heard lots of covers of it. In fact, one of our past guests, Becky Schlegel, she does a beautiful cover of the song. And but this is interesting because you didn't just bluegrassify it. There's some interesting instrumental and melodic choices in terms of how you sing it. What do you remember about sort of when you made the arrangement for this song, or did it just kind of fall into place as you guys started to jam on it?
Well, when we get ready to record, we all listen to literally probably hundreds of songs and trying to find some possible theme or whatever. Of course, the theme on this was the feel of some of the John Hartford stuff. And of course, Greg Brown, we're all Greg Brown fans. His writing is impeccable. But we when we first start the project, we go and sit in the relaxation room there, the little where the couch is and the table, and Allison brings in goodies, and we go off our diets and eat sugar and drink coffee, but we all sit around the table and process. And Allison is just a brilliant arranger. I mean, she just comes up with the best ideas and has something in her head and says, "Hey, try this," and then we'll sit and talk, and she'll make up a chart as we're going around and and everybody has input, and we finally come out with a pretty good sketch, and then we go in and play it and come back and say, what if we did this and what if we did that? And then so literally, number one, we're probably way underprepared when we go into the studio because we don't really have a solid idea. We haven't done any of the songs on stage for sure. We still have word sheets and but it just really adds to, I think, the creative process. And with her ideas, as I said, she's just a great arranger. And so by the end, when we finally do release the recording, we have to literally spend a lot of time trying to learn
Learning
what
it.
we did because we have no clue by the end.
All right, who had that? That
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, right. What did I play? How did I do that?
I think there's a couple schools of thought on going into the studio and playing, and one is you road test it and it really comes out as like this piece that you did. But this other side, and we haven't talked much about that on this show, is this idea sometimes when it's brand new and it's super fresh, you put a different kind of energy into it, and I feel like there that makes a lot of sense listening to these tracks. You can kind of feel that coming through on a lot of these.
And I might just say we have a video of that on our website at specialc.com. And again, this was Allison and some of the production people's ideas. But we solicited pictures from our fan base and just said, hey, if you have any kind of picture of a small town or something, that listen to this song and see what you think. And if you have, any ideas or things. And man, we got hundreds of photos submitted. And then, so it's actually a lyric video with the pictures and the words going down on the screen. But all the
Very
pictures
nice.
are from our friends, so we made it a group project.
Awesome. We will grab that link and we'll put it in the show notes on our website for this episode, so you guys can go back and check that out. And I feel like for us up here in the upper Midwest, Greg Brown he's like one of the sources of like that roots music. Sometimes playing that stuff that's all about the geography of the Southeast or something doesn't always ring true, at least for me personally. But I feel like Greg Brown, he's like one of those. He's like, I don't know. He's my like Bill Monroe. I feel like when I play his stuff, I feel like I'm playing some authentic, prairie grass.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, Tony. Really, yeah, I think so.
And
We used to play. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
oh no, I go ahead.
I was just going to say we played shows and festivals with him, and a while back we had a fiddle player, Al Murphy, who was from Iowa, and he knew Greg Brown well, so he'd always get up and play fiddle with him for Greg sets at the shows, and we just were mesmerized by Greg, because he could do a song that we've heard him do this way, and then he recorded it that way, and today he's got a fiddle, and tomorrow he might have a slide guitar player, or and so he just makes it happen. He's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the banjo on that, which is not a typical sort of bluegrass banjo. There's a lot of strumming. You can definitely hear those sort of folk and even New Orleans roots in the way the banjo is played on that song. So it's an interesting. Yeah, exactly. It's not a lot of bluegrass music has a lot going on at the same time, and this is very spare and minimalist, really. It's very nice.
And I have to ask too, maybe we can talk a little bit about the personnel, because you don't always hear bass work like that in a song like this, and I thought that was spectacular. Who was playing on this record, and who was that on bass?
Well, let's start with the bass player. Yeah, Dan Eubanks, and he is just a phenomenal player. He's been in the band going on 8 years now, and he's originally from around St. Louis and used to go to bluegrass festivals with his grandfather, and but then he went on and studied jazz bass. He has a big background, and he played percussion and plays some guitar, but he studied and got degrees in jazz performance, and so he's a jazz player, but loves the traditional music in the sound. So he's very respectful of that and doesn't try to play all the jazz licks, but he can if he wants to. And as you saw, he did something so tasteful and just played the lines. And on each of our recordings, he's the only bass player, bluegrass bass player I've seen who can play a fiddle tune note for note on the bass. Just he takes a bass. He's our fourth. We've got 4 people in the band, and they're all lead players, and he's right up there. So, and Rick Ferris on the guitar, who's another Midwestern guy. He's from Kansas, and now he's lived in Kansas a good chunk of his life, and he used to tour with his family, the Ferris family, around the Midwest and everywhere, and around the country. And he's been in the band over 10 years now. And he's just a great lead singer and guitar player, extraordinaire, really fabulous. And Nick Dumas back then was on the mandolin, and another just a great player. He's from out around Seattle, Washington. And all these guys grew up in some kind of pocket of bluegrass music and ways of playing. In fact, they grew up playing bluegrass more than I did, really. But of course, by the time they joined the band, they weren't even born yet when the band started, most of them. So we're even.
Right.
Well, Derek Johnson, one of our great bluegrass folks and friends, says great musicians and some of my favorite people in bluegrass. And some really top-notch playing. And we want to dig more into the music because we know you all want to hear it. We are itching to hear it. We got to warm up here in Minnesota.
That's right.
And so is there anything you want to say about this quickly, or should we just dive right into this tune?
Well, let's dive into it, and we can maybe talk about it a little bit after.
All right. This is Special Consensus Squirrel Hunters on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
This is a Squirrel Hunter.
Oh, uh, yeah,
Wow.
the psych out ending really got me there.
I'm trying to point
You're
out.
like, oh man. So that was
We could do a whole show on that song. Oh my
wow.
gosh.
There is so much going on in that. That was, by the way, Special Consensus. If you just joined us at the back catalog listening party with Squirrel Hunters, and I have to say, I worked up a sweat. It's cold here in Minnesota, but I worked up a sweat just thinking about all those notes or trying to wrap my head around everything that was going on in that song. But Matt Winters said, nice, love that bass solo and love knowing the John Hartford history of the Compass Studios. And I'd agree because, wow, John Hartford coming through strong and also like
literally coming into the intro there.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the story behind that.
Well, Allison was a huge John Hartford fan and was friends with his daughter Katie. She, well, the sidebar is that she helped design the Deering banjo, the low tune banjo, which she was playing on that. I was playing the regular my banjo, and she was playing her low tune, the Deering Julia Bell. And John was he went to art school, so he was a great artist, sketch artist, and he has boxes and boxes of pencil drawings and things. And Allison went over to Katie's and they went through the boxes and she chose a bunch of those sketches and she chose them and Greg Deering made them into the inlays on the Julia Bell banjo. So they're all his sketches. And so they became good friends. And when it came time for this song, Allison asked Katie, said, it'd be really cool if we could. That was like from a fiddle lesson that John was giving, on I don't know if it was a CD. I don't even know if they had DVD CDs then. Whatever it was, that's where that came from. And so we thought, that was kind of her thing because she had access to that and figured out, wow, what if we started it like that? And then had the 10-string symphony. Rachel Bayman and Christian Settlemyer were the two fiddles that played along with him on the beginning slowly, and then they are the ones who played fiddle, of course, through it. And the thing that we did different was first of all, in the A part of that song, we made it a minor. So that's how it gets, and we just thought that would sound so cool with that low tune banjo. So we, played it with the E minor and then went back and forth. And the banjo, on the first album that Allison produced, Scratch Gravel Road, the one where we got our first Grammy nom, I had written a tune called Jacqueline and asked Allison. I mean, it took me, weeks to work up the courage to say, would you play with me on that? Could we play twin banjos? And she said, sure. And so I was like, oh my God, that's great. So now we've done that on all the recordings we've done since then. We always have one instrumental and we play twin banjos. And so the fun on this one was, I played the melody just straight, the regular melody, maybe once or twice. And then we went, she said, well, just play it and stretch out and just do something. And then she'll do that. And so they had all these different things and then they put it together the way they did, where we were back and forth. So like she was the left.
Response.
Yeah. And she was on the left with the low tune, and I was on the right with the regular tune banjo.
And I just want to tell people out there who are listening, you got to hear the high fidelity version of this. You got to hear it in stereo. You got Greg Cahill in one ear, you got Allison Brown in the other ear. It's so phenomenal playing these world class instruments, virtuosos. You gotta pick up the CD. I got the link scrolling here on the bottom. I'll put it in the comments as well. Just go to specialc.com/store. And you'll be able to find links to purchase this. I really highly recommend you get this on CD.
And also because it's Greg's birthday. Rick says, sorry I'm late, happy birthday. And for folks who might not know about this, maybe you could tell folks about why it seems to always be your birthday.
Thank you, Rick. Oh, my God. He's the one who does it. He gets me every time. But well, this was, I don't know, years ago when Josh Williams was in the band and Jamie Clifton and playing guitar. Josh was our mandolin player, actually. And he started it at one point and just, or Jamie did, and said, "Oh yeah, well today's Greg's birthday," and I said, "It is not." "Oh yeah, it is. Come on, everybody, sing happy birthday," you know. And so then another time, Josh started doing it, and I remember distinctly we did a showcase for Tom T. Hall, and in his room at the IBMA, and so I got the brilliant idea. I said, "Okay, everybody, it's Josh's birthday," and everybody goes, "No, it's not." And Josh says, "That's right, it's Greg's birthday." Yeah. So I could not get rid of it, and so ever since, half the places we go,
I had
even
a
from Tom
banjo
T. and Dixie Hall, and then, oh god.
I had a banjo student, email me and said, "Oh, make sure to wish Greg a happy birthday," because he's attended numerous banjo camps with you, and I want to use that as a segue to mention that Greg's an amazing teacher, and as you could hear on that last track, there's a lot you could learn from him. And good news is for you banjo pickers out there is that he is teaching workshops, and he usually does it in person, but I believe there's some coming up here that are going to be virtual, but I think people would still get a ton out of them. Do you want to mention what's coming up with your banjo workshops?
Yeah, well, I have quite a few on the calendar for this year because some got canceled last year, and this year they're at least happening virtually. So the second weekend of March is the Sewanee, Florida Banjo Camp. Ken Perlman and Stan Orban are running that, and that'll be virtual. So I'll be teaching several, 6 or 7 classes at that, and I believe it's March 13th and 14th, Saturday and Sunday. And then the week after that, the Great Winfield Festival, right? The Walnut Valley Festival, man. Jam Central, right? You just stay up and play music for days. But they, for the first time, are having spring workshops, virtual. Cool. So I'll be doing 2 banjo workshops on March 20th for them. And they're all virtual, so you don't even have to leave the house, you know. Either do I. But yeah. I miss being in person with people, but at least this way we at least get to connect a little bit. You know?
Yeah, so we put just a link to their website. You can get that information off of the Special Consensus website. And you know what else are you doing right now? Grab your banjos and sign up for one of Greg's workshops. You won't be sorry.
That's right. And Penny says I'm probably going to sign up for Sewanee. So there you go. You got one more student. And we do want to make sure we get through, because we have a bunch of tunes we're trying to get through on today's show, because we love this record. We're revisiting the 2018 release, Rivers and Roads on Compass, nominated for a Grammy by Special Consensus. And since we have Greg here, we want to dig into all these songs with you. So the next song we have queued up, Hurting Shore. And is there anything you want to say before we dive in?
Well, I just want to thank Mark Simos, one of the greatest songwriters, who's out teaching at Berkeley in Boston, and just a great guy and a wonderful songwriter. And he let us record this song, gave it to us, and Molly Tuttle just sang the fire out of it with Rick, and she played a little clawhammer banjo on it, and I played the 3-finger style. So but it's a beautiful song. It's I had this song from Mark for several years, which is sidebar, and I'm sure you must go through this too when you get through, we get a song and maybe it's not going to work with what your theme is or with what you're doing at that time, but boy, when it's a good song, it sticks, and I remembered that song, and here we were, and thought, oh, we got to do that. So that's it.
All right, well, we'll give it a listen now. Hurting Sure, Special Consensus on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I've often wondered if life would ever reach me right down to the bottom of my heart. I've worked hard and I've been lazy, acted sensible and crazy, always just an actor in a part. It took your love to teach me life's alive and not a play. The truth finally came home to me the night you went away. Now I'm hurting sure that love is real, so I'm thankful for even this pain I feel. shakes me to the root, the wound and yet the cure. I didn't know till now, but now I'm hurting sure.
When your heart's abandoned, the past comes back to haunt you, and every little loss gets lived again. Every love that ever blessed you sidestepped or second guessed you. Every stranger that you once called friend. Been trying to heal another's hurt to earn the love I crave. I had to learn there's no one but myself that I can save. Now I'm hurting sure that love is real, so I'm thankful for even this pain I feel. Shakes me to the root, the wound and yet the cure. I didn't know till now, but now I'm hurting sure. Oh, the world just yawned and opened wide. I'm standing in this place, and I can taste these tears I've cried, sweet salty on my face. Now I'm hurting sure that love is real, so I'm thankful for even this pain I feel. Shakes me to the root, the wound and yet the cure. I didn't know till now, but now I'm hurting sure, ain't sure. I didn't know till now, but now I'm hurting sure.
Ah, what a song. Hurting Shore. That was Special Consensus doing it with special guest Molly Tuttle singing, playing clawhammer, banjo. And of course, she's won a lot of awards as a guitar player, but she sounds pretty sweet on that banjo. So sounding really
great,
nice.
great on the banjo, and she has that thing she does on guitar, and she's known for kind of one of her signature things is that kind of clawhammer brush, but she does it on the guitar as well. And she's just a fabulous musician, and a really, really good person.
Yeah, and there she is.
Yeah, for those who aren't watching, just listening, we have a picture on the screen here of the band with Allison Brown and Molly Tuttle. Wow.
Yeah. Alan says nicely, nicely. And Bev and Alinda from Litchfield say great song. Yeah, really, really nice stuff. And, you all seem to be a very collaborative band. You're interested in playing with lots of people, and certainly on this record, you get a lot of guests in there. Is there anyone who is alive today that you are still kind of dreaming of playing with on a record?
Oh boy, that's a really difficult question.
We're trying to will it into the universe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There are several people, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you.
Well, if you think of it later, you can let us know.
Okay.
And if you all have questions, by the way, for Greg today, this is your chance. So throw them in the comments if you have any questions. Oh, look at that. One of your mandolin teachers, Nick. So,
Nick, right.
Oh, it sounded beautiful on that track, by the way. Some really nice mandolin.
Yeah, and I was
It
gonna.
was great.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that actually, and it was Allison. She's usually the one who helps us bring some of these people in and comes up with the idea for a lot of them to come in as well. And, they're just all people that we have great respect and admiration for, and get to play with them. And so it's great.
Well, I wanted to say, I was going to try to be real funny and say, well, speaking of hurting, artists are not performing right now, but I every show I want to make sure that I let people know that it is true. We have smiles on our faces because we love listening to music, but we're not playing, and that is the heart and soul of what we do and who we are. And Greg is normally playing, well, as far as I can tell, every day in some other city or town. I can't think of a band that is works harder than Special Consensus when they're able to, and so for. It goes a long way to throw a little something in a tip jar to let him know how much we appreciate what he does and how much we really want that next record to come out. So I'm scrolling the link here. It's in the comments as well. If you like what you hear, you could toss a little something his way, or you could head on over to his website and put that money right to purchase of this CD. And I know that he would appreciate it. And it really means a lot. And we definitely want to hear more Special C down the road.
For sure. And we have 2 tunes we're going to try and squeeze in before 5 o'clock. So we're going to do our best to make that happen. So
Ellen's keeping us on track today.
I am. I'm trying because I love this record and I want to hear everyone to hear as much of it as possible.
Me too.
So this next tune we have Travelin Shoes. Anything before we start taking a listen?
Well, this is we've done several songs. We try to find we do a cappella. We always put one gospel song on each of our recordings because a lot of people have asked us to do gospel recording, but we can only release one recording every couple of years. So, but we always put a gospel song on, and we prefer to, do an a cappella number as something different. And I think a lot of folks don't know that we do that. And this is one from the Golden Gate Quartet, who was a very popular, very fabulous band back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, right up into I think the 60s, even maybe further. But Doyle Lawson has done some of their songs, and I think maybe Duke Highway. But we've done several, and this is one of them. We got it from their arrangement, listening to really old, scratchy recordings.
To me, there's just nothing more powerful than just voices. It really this, and you're gonna love this, folks. This is Travelin Shoes, Special Consensus on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Oh, death coming knocking at my mother's door. He said, "Come on, mother, ain't you ready to go?"
She said,
"Yes."
Good Lord, she said,
"Yes, yes."
Then
Well, my mother bent down and she buckled up her shoes and then she shouted hallelujah and began to move, and then she moved on down to the dirty stream, and then she shouted hallelujah, my soul has been redeemed.
because I've
Done my duties, got on my traveling shoes, got on my traveling shoes, got on my traveling shoes, coming knocking at my father's door. I heard him say, "Come on, father, ain't you ready to go?"
And he said,
Yes.
Good Lord, he said,
Yes, yes.
Oh, then
Well, my father bent down and he buckled up his shoes, and then he shouted hallelujah, and then he began to move, and then he moved on down by the dirty stream, and then he shouted hallelujah.
because I've
Done my duties, got on my traveling shoes, got on my traveling shoes, got on my traveling shoes. I saw death coming knocking at that old sinner man's door. I heard him say, "Come on, sinner, ain't you ready to go?" Well, he waded in about ankle deep, and then the water started lapping up around his knees, and then I heard him say, "Oh, don't want to die," and then the water started lapping up around his side. "Lord, won't you just let me live?" Then the water started lapping up around his rib. Then oh, death grabbed him and he shoved him in. The water started lapping up around his chin. He said, "No,
Lord knows I
don't want to go.
because I
Ain't done my duties, ain't got my traveling shoes. Lord, ain't done my duties, ain't got my traveling shoes."
Yes, Special Consensus doing an old tune, Travelin' Shoes. And I've heard a million versions of that and a lot of amazing versions. But yeah, there's nothing like that kind of old school gospel quartet version. And, I have to say, I could feel the feet hitting the pavement on that tune. There's a lot of, the voices were doing a lot of percussive work on that tune. Real drive to it.
The groove, yeah, definitely. You just kind of get in that mode. And, yeah. Hmm.
Very, very nice stuff. And by the way, I love Alan's comment. That banjo is so subtle.
Yeah,
Takes a
maybe
really great player to make it sound like there is no banjo.
Well, and Rick mentioned he loved the low voice. Who was singing that bass?
that would be the one and only Dan Eubanks, who
nice.
who also weighed in on that, saying, and
Yes.
I agree. I miss that. It does bring back great memories. But yeah, he was not a bass singer, and he just kind of was the guy who got stuck with that part, because
Nailed it.
none of
Yeah.
us, and he nailed it. He did, and he did on our new recording, and as well, he did another one of their songs on the Chicago Barn Dance recording. So, but they're a great
beautiful.
source. The Golden Gate Quartet. Check them out if you really like that kind of music, because they were fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for people who aren't as familiar with like traditional bluegrass, this definitely is like a staple of bluegrass music, and man, I can't wait for bands to be touring again, so Special Consensus could come. We were talking before the show. The last gig they were scheduled to play before everything shut down was here in Minneapolis, and a former member of the band I played in and you played in, Marty Maroney, was going to be playing with you at the Cedar Cultural Center, a venue here, and you said that 15 minutes before the show sound check was to start, you got a call while you were approaching the venue. And
Yeah, we were driving in from I can't remember where, frantically trying to get there on time, and patting ourselves on the back in advance because we thought we were going to be there right on time. And then our agent called and said, "I got bad news. They had to cancel." And they were very good to us. They paid us, and we did not do the show, and so we kind of owe them one.
that Cedar's a gem, yeah.
And we're going to be at the Mabatna Fest this year, assuming that it happens.
Yay!
So, yeah, we love that fest. So we haven't been there in a few years now.
For those of you who don't know, that is the big Bluegrass Festival here in Minnesota. It happens in August, and it is scheduled to happen this summer, and we are so itching for it, and we cannot wait.
It is a date. It is a date. I can't wait.
Yeah, good.
Exactly.
We'll be up all night picking. Yes.
We can't wait for that. And well, we're going to squeeze in one more tune before we have to go today. And this is Way Down the River Road from the album Rivers and Roads. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Just quickly, I'll say, first of all, John Hartford wrote this song and performed it often and played it on his low-tuned banjo, which is called the Julia Bell. It's a Deering banjo, which we spoke about earlier. I played Allison's in the studio. We were trying to figure out what would make this sound cool and give it a good different sound and groove. And she said, "Well, you could try. Why don't you play that?" So I did, and then we put it in a sort of a kind of a D tuning, but it's in the key of B. And I liked it so well, I had to buy a Deering. I bought one, and now I use it all. I used it on 3 songs on the new recording. But anyway,
Now you got to carry an extra banjo.
now I
with
got to
you.
carry an extra banjo. And,
Well,
my gosh!
For the banjo nerds out there, one unique quality of this is rather than the big brass bell, tone ring inside, it's a piece of wood, and it just got this really, really unique sound. And it really struck me when I heard this. It evoked John Hartford in such a great way. It was such an homage. And anyways, I'm so glad we made it. Thank you, Alan, for pushing us forward, because folks,
Now we get to hear the song.
you
I
are
know.
in for a treat. This is one of my favorite off the record. This is Special Consensus, Way Down the River Road on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Where'd you get your whiskey? Where'd you get your rum? I got it down Front Street at number 99. Ain't it gone, gone, gone? Ain't it gone, gone? Ain't it gone, gone, gone? Way down the river road. Ain't it gone, gone, gone? Ain't it gone, gone? Ain't
yeah.
Oh, that was Special Consensus, Way Down the River Road, from their 2018 release, Rivers and Roads. And that exactly is why that was nominated for a Grammy. I'm just saying. I don't know why it didn't win. I don't know who it was up against that year, but wow. And Rick was saying Let Us Clog, and I have to say, he obviously is a clogger, IBMA Clogging Workshop alumni, but I have to say, I'm no clogger, but it seemed pretty fast for clogging. You'd have your work cut out for you as a clogger.
And Mark Schatz was clogging on it. Yeah.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Fabulous bass player,
Yeah.
banjo
Wow.
player.
Yeah,
Mark
fabulous.
Schatz.
Yeah.
That's
And he,
some impressive
we
footwork.
We played it on the IBMA Awards show that year in September, and he clogged with us on that. So he did do it live. It wasn't a thing where you do parts.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
He did it the
You
whole
overdub a
time.
step or something.
Yeah, and I love that Chris said he could barely air banjo pick that fast. I could barely tap my feet fast enough, let alone clog. But
Yep. Lots
Yeah.
of great comments there. Wow. And yeehaw from Matthew. Exactly. What a great way to start the weekend, Greg. Holy moly. Thank you so
I feel like
much.
I worked out all the toxins from the week just listening to that song. And Anne just got her CD, and we highly recommend it. The album is amazing. If you like what you heard today, that's just a fraction of what you can get on the record.
Yeah.
And so you can get that from the Special Consensus website, and you can also throw something in their tip jar. So that we can make sure that Special Consensus, makes it back to Minnesota or wherever you may be. And we look forward to seeing you in August at the festival. That's
Yeah,
going
we
to
sure
be
do.
great.
Oh, yeah. I can't
Maybe-
wait, really.
Maybe. Go
This has
ahead,
been
Greg.
great. We could just talk all day. This is really fun. Thanks for having me, really. I love it.
Connie
Oh.
says, well, can we have a sequel? Maybe we can do a live back catalog in August.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be
There you
fun
go.
from the festival remote. That
Yeah.
sounds pretty good to me. Well, thank you, Greg, for joining us. This has been such a special hour
Oh, man,
for all
thank
of us.
you.
So,
Pleasure
and
was
Good
mine.
time. Healing.
and thanks to all of you out there for tuning in to the show today and getting your bluegrass on. If you like what you heard and you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be alerted of upcoming shows, and like this episode so more people will see it.
Give it a thumbs up. Their algorithms will send Greg's music to more people if you give
Exactly.
it a thumbs up.
And you can share it with folks as well. And but we also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. These are the folks who support us every month so that this show can keep happening. We now have a website. We have some other special events and perks when you join as a Patreon supporter, including after parties and private Zoom performances and such. So we want to thank Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, and our newest Patreon supporter who just came in last week, Scott. Thank you
Scott,
so
welcome.
much.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
welcome to the party supporters, and we
You guys
appreciate
have gotten
it.
us through this year. I mean, I can't believe we're coming up on a full year of this.
It's amazing.
It wouldn't have gone this fast if it wasn't for, things like this, hanging out with folks like you, Greg, and listening to music. I mean, music really is going to, I said music will get me through this, and I mean it. I feel like everyone that I know, at least, is starting to understand just why it's so important. And I'm so glad that you were able to share your music with us in this hour with us today. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, I can only thank you. It's been great. Thank you so much. Really.
Well, we can't wait to see you in August at the Bluegrass Festival, and we'll see the rest of you online right here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party. I'm so excited. We have an amazing songwriter coming on the show next week, Anna Eggy. She was just featured on NPR for her new song and video this time, and she's going to be joining us from Brooklyn next week. So definitely
Awesome.
tune in for that.
All right. Well, until then, folks, and keep listening to this great music. Go check out Special Consensus's website where you can find more about Greg's banjo workshops, and you can purchase that CD. And thanks again, Greg. It was so great.
Thank
to
you.
hang out.
Thank you.
Cheers,
very
folks.
much.